Hello there, and welcome to Kinetic Circus, Mr. Paul's Tutorials! This is contact juggling, more isolations. Hello there! Now, I want to show you a couple of favourite isolations of mine. This is wave isolation, or I call it the Deathly Hallows, because you make your shape of a triangle with a circle in the middle, and if you're well read enough, you know, of course, what that was, or unless you've been in a cave for the past 1,000 years. This is a really nice move. You can do little wibbly waves with it, you can do big circles. It travels well. You can do a lot of things with the move when you learn like the engine of how it works. To start with, make your triangle with your thumbs and fingers. Don't touch them together, but you do want a bit of a gap in between. And then if you put the ball in the centre of your chest just to stabilise and get a position, hold it up, you'll find it a bit easier just to hold that to start with. And just really gently rock it left to right. You can see the ball obviously sits in the middle, as with all isolations. Your elbows and your arms do the big move around it. You can go over the front and back up to the top. And that's done by twisting the wrists as opposed to the elbows or the arms in this case. And now if we try one side, through the front, underneath, through the other side. So that's one loop of it. And then if you just put that on constant play, you get all the way around it and it looks like this, which is really, really cool. If you can't do the wave, this is the wave. You know how to do the wave already. Try it in both directions, of course, because it's nice to know you can do it both ways around. Now just try exactly the same thing, but holding onto the ball, so you create the wave. You can isolate it at any point, so wherever you choose to stop, pop a big isolation or a little wiggly one, and it just gives you a really, really nice vocabulary of moves to use. Now if we twist it through this is something I call aperture, or it may have another name, but this is how I refer to it. So you're twisting one hand to make an old school taking a photo position. Release your thumbs and roll your fingers side to side. Have a couple of goes at this just to find where the line is. It's a bit of a tricky hole, but you can get it with a bit of practice. The thumbs are harder to do, but the idea is the same. You're pulling them up and down, and the fingers pull from left to right. So a whole revolution of this move looks like this. And it's just, again, it's a very nice one just to sit in front of you. When you do the thumbs, people generally are quite impressed. You can hold it between those 2 points. So that's those kind of things. Now, this is a pulse. We covered this. This is an isolated pulse, in fact. We covered this in the first contact video. So here are wibbling movie pulses, and you can do an isolated one as well. If you stick them together, you get a really nice effect. Again, centre the ball in your chest if you need to find the grip first, and use your thumbs. Link your fingers together, and you're pulling your fingers towards your thumbs whilst keeping the ball still. As you push that away and come back in. Now you transfer when your fingers and thumbs are touching together. So in fact this version is the pulse where we're moving the ball forwards and backwards, and it travels from like point A to point B. Always try and touch your fingers and thumbs on each point. The isolated version, which I began describing beforehand, excuse me, is where you keep the ball still like this and you move yourself around it. And like I said before, if you couple this up with a moving pulse, you can create some really interesting visual effects. So we go isolate and pulse. There we go. Okay, palm rolls. Again, it's an oldie but a goodie, but it does look very effective if done well. As you can see, what's happening, we're rolling both hands either forwards or backwards in this direction. Now, if I show you from the front, you'll see as you're moving your hands forward, you keep them in plane. So your fingers always face the front. There's no real rotation of the wrist or hands. You're just kind of like doing an old school choo-choo train with your hands, that sort of idea. And it will sit in front of you quite happily here. Now, if you just roll one hand on its own, like this, as you can see, the ball roll behind your front hand, or roll in the front hand, the ball roll like this. It's a combination of both of these things, and try and work as far around the edges of your fingertips and thumbs and backs of your hand as you can. This also works top to bottom, so you can make it do this, and indeed is the first part of learning how to do palm isolations, which I will cover in a later tutorial. Okay, handlebars and squeezes, these are lovely. The move does this, the basic move. There are lots of variations on it. This is your starter for 10. And if you add little lifts and drops into it, you get a really beautiful robotic movement like this. So to start with, keep your hands flat and roll one to the top and one underneath. Don't extend past 6 and 12 o'clock on this, or north and south, however you want to view it. Try it both ways around because you're going to need to learn it in both directions. Now, as you get here, shutting your hands finger at a time just adds a bit of grace to the move. And then we're repeating the move by substituting our hands top and bottom. So it's top and bottom, close, twist, open, swap the hands, close, twist. And eventually when it's rolling, it will look like this. Now, as you can see, when this is rolling, it's a really fluid move. To add in the lifts and the drops, as you do the rotation, just pop it 20 centimeters up or down in the air, and you get that pa-chow. Thank you again. This is Kinetic Circus. I'm Mr. Paul from Mr. Paul Tutorials. Thank you. Goodbye. As always, I'm on www.kineticircus.co.uk. My Facebook link's here. Subscribe and like. Thank you for watching. Cheerio!